Hi again, in the next videos I'm very happy to show you how to make an APK file out of the Python file that we already have, that we already built in the previous lectures. Now an APK file is a file that can be installed in an Android phone so that the app is usable on mobile. Currently we only have a .py file, so we have the main.py file and the design.kv file. And we also have a bunch of extra files, such as this hoverworld.py file and these PNG files as well, and the database, which is stored in the users.json file. So all these files will be bundled in one APK file. In order to make an APK file, we need to use a library called Buildozer. It's a Python library which we can install with pip or conda. The problem is that making APK files on Windows or Mac operating systems, it's very hard, not to say impossible. The best thing we can do is to use a Linux operating system, such as Ubuntu. But I'm not going to ask you to wipe out your Windows operating system or your Mac OS and install a Linux on your computer. No, we are going to use a virtual machine, which is a software that you can install on Mac OS or Windows, and inside that software will behave like a computer, but it's a virtual computer, it's a software. So inside that software you can install operating systems such as Linux, Windows or Mac. So in this lecture I'm going to show you how to install VirtualBox. The installation is easy whether you are on Windows or Mac OS, so just go to virtualbox.org and click on the download button, then click one of the links. So if you are on Windows, it means that the host operating system is Windows. So Windows will host the Ubuntu Linux system. I'm currently on a Windows machine, so I'm going to click on Windows hosts. So that will give me the executable file of VirtualBox. Once the file downloads, go ahead and double click to install it. I don't want a shortcut on desktop or on the quick launch bar, but feel free to leave those options as checked. Yes, we need internet in that VirtualBox, in that virtual machine, virtual computer. So install. I would go for install again. Finish, and Oracle VirtualBox will launch now. Expect it to take a while. And here it is. So the interface is quite simple. We have some buttons here. We are interested in the new button. But first, before I do that, you need to go to ubuntu.com and download an Ubuntu operating system. So go to the download button, go to Ubuntu Desktop. There are two versions now, but this is the stable version, the one with green button. So I'm going to download that. Expect this to take a while, because it's around 2 gigabytes. Yeah, that's quite a lot of data. Once you download that file, go again to Oracle VirtualBox and go to New. Give a name. I'm going to call it Ubuntu, and you'll see that these drop-down lists are automatically updated. So you want to select Linux here. We are installing a Linux operating system and Ubuntu 64-bit. That's at least what I downloaded from ubuntu.com, but your system will automatically detect the architecture of the program. So I'm going to click next. Now the memory size. This says that the recommended size is 1 gigabyte for RAM, but I would say you should go for higher, which is at least 4 gigabytes. If you don't have much RAM on your computer, on your physical computer, maybe you should go for less and see how Ubuntu will work with that much memory. But so this is the idea. This is the 30,000 megabytes is the RAM size on this Windows computer that I'm using, and I'm giving 4 megabytes to the virtual Linux computer. So that will be the maximum size, 4 gigabytes of RAM for Linux. Click on next. Create a virtual hard disk now. create. You want a VDI, so click next. Dynamically allocated is fine. This again is up to you. I would recommend 20 gigabytes if you have them. So around 20 gigabytes, but give it at least 10. Or if you don't have much space in your hard disk in your computer, then you should opt for less, like 5 gigabytes, and see how things work. Normally, if you run out of space or out of RAM, you should get some pop-up windows from VirtualBox telling you that the space is not enough, but the more space the better. So click on create. And so now we have created a layer here. You want to go to start. And this will ask you to select a startup disk. So you want to go to this folder here and then locate the ISO file that you downloaded from ubuntu.com. So that's one there. Click on start. Now this window here is kind of small, but you can go to machine and settings, go to display, and here in the scale factor you might want to increase this to 300%. Click on OK, and now you see the screen is a bit bigger. So this is the next screen that we got. You want to go to install Ubuntu. I'd go for English here and English there for the keyboard layout. These settings are fine. Then you want to select erase disk and install Ubuntu, and that will simply delete all your programs, your photos in your computer, everything you ever had. I'm just kidding. This is only about the programs you have inside the VirtualBox, which we don't have any. So this would be the case if you were overwriting an existing operating system that you already had inside this VirtualBox. So it has nothing to do with your programs in your main operating system, which would be Windows or Mac OS. And so just go to install now. Continue. Select your time zone. Select a name for the computer. I would just go for login automatically without providing a password. However, you need to choose a password. Click continue. And so that will take a while now until the files are installed. So until Ubuntu is installed in this virtual machine, in this VirtualBox software. My installation was completed and the prompt is asking me to restart, so I'm going to click on restart now. That will restart the Linux operating system, not the host operating system, which is Windows in my case. So just restarting Ubuntu inside VirtualBox. There seems to be an error and I just pressed enter and things seems to be working. So this is Ubuntu. If you want to see the startup guide, just click on next and done. Now you might want to go to Oracle VirtualBox, so the VirtualBox interface, and then go to machine and settings, and then go to general, advanced, and you might want to enable this shared clipboard and drag and drop options. I set them as bidirectional, which means that you can copy files from your host's operating system, so from Windows or Mac, to Linux, to Ubuntu, and vice versa. However, I've noticed that this doesn't work. If you get this prompt, it means that there are some updates for Ubuntu, but I'm just going to close this window. So I'll assume that the option of copy pasting files between the systems doesn't work. So I'm going to show you what you can do to get files from your host operating system to your Linux, to your Ubuntu operating system. So this is the folder where I have all the files that I need for this APK file. for the mobile version of the program. So it's everything we went through plus this Kiwi Buildozer installer.sh file. This is a file that you can download from the resources, and I'm going to show you what that file is for. But for now, I'm just going to use Dropbox. So I have the project files already in my Dropbox on Windows. So the folder is this one here, Teaching. Teaching has all the files. Alright, so I'm going to right click and copy Dropbox link. So this is on Windows, it's not on Linux, it's outside VirtualBox. Another way to do this would be to use this service, gofile.io. That allows you to upload a file, and that will give you a link. And so that link you can use, you can put that link inside Linux, because there is a browser there. You have Firefox inside of Linux. But since we cannot copy and paste, we're gonna have to manually type that link. So in my case, I'm going to use Dropbox, and I'm going to use bit.ly.com to shorten the URL that I created. So that's URL there. And enter that URL in the browser of your Linux operating system. If you don't want to go through these file sharing, you can just use this URL to get my files. So you can download the files directly from your Linux system using the browser. Go to More, Direct Download, Save File. Okay. The files should have now been downloaded, and you can find them in the Files, Downloads. Right click on the downloaded zip file, go to Extract to. You want to select the desktop, but click on this new folder icon there to create a folder. Let's say Project 1. Create and select. So now we see this Project 1 folder here, and there is the teaching folder inside, and these are the files. And so let's end this video here. This was how to install VirtualBox and how to set up Linux inside the VirtualBox and how to get the files inside that Linux operating system. So now we are ready to create a mobile executable file that will run on Android. So let's do that in the next video.